Blog Talk Radio.
Winston-Salem, it's Sunday Night Dead.
Sunday Night Dead. I'm Matthew Soldier from Autumn Moon Paranormal here in beautiful Winston-Salem, North Carolina. Funny thing about North Carolina right now, we had a snowstorm and a snow day on Friday. Snowstorm by our standards, nothing like what Kelly gets in the upper Midwest there. But today we were in the 60s and it's all gone. So whenever we get winter weather, it does not stick around long. Hope you had a great weekend. Thank you so much for closing it out with us this evening. I want to bring on my two co-hosts for the evening. First of all, Ms. Kelly Wirtz. Are you there, Kelly?
Hello, I'm here.
All right, and Mr. John Coghill.
Hello, everybody.
How are you guys doing?
It's cold.
How cold is it in you're in Wisconsin, correct?
Yes, I am. We're supposed to get a negative 9 degrees tonight for the low. Woohoo!
Oh, I have to just say, and I always think of this whenever it's the football championship game's on. I used to have to go to before I moved down to North Carolina, the old job I had. We used to have to go do product trials at a paper mill on the Canadian side of International Falls, and this would be the week they would always schedule it. So I would spend probably the 2 coldest weeks of the year in International Falls, and did that for 2 years in a row. So yeah, I think the worst I saw was like in the negative 30s, and the wind chill was like minus 70 something. It was pretty nasty because I was doing the night shift, so I got the real nice cold temperatures.
Oh.
But how's it going with you, John?
I'm getting over. I caught that virus going around. Remember I told you there was a flu virus going around up in that area? You
had some kind of plague going on up there.
Yeah, it got me. I'm recovering. I'm better this week, so, but it's going around. Everybody's catching it.
I've had it since after Christmas. It still doesn't want to go away.
Oh, wow. I've seen a lot of, I guess it's partially because of how warm it's been, but there's a lot of weird stuff going around. I mean, we've had lots of classes, my kids' classes at schools, lots of kids out, and, we usually this time of year, it ends up being this never-ending cycle of, with 7 of us, it just kind of, somebody's always sick, and that has kind of started here, but knock on wood, I have avoided it so far, so, hopefully everything goes all right there. But, so, football championships on. We've got the Ravens and New England on mute here. You guys care about either of these games? I know there's no representatives from where any of us live left in this, but and John, you care at this point?
I just don't like New England Patriots. Anybody but New England.
Okay.
It would be nice to see the two brothers go up against each other in a Super Bowl. That would be nice.
It would, but I personally, I guess I kind of hold not grudges, but having been a football fan through the 80s, I am still suffering, even though it's been almost 20 years since they won one. I still suffer from 49er fatigue, so it just seems like them again. Getting back in, so
that's why I don't like That's why I don't like New England. It's like every year it's New England, New England, New England.
This is true. This is true. How about you, Callie?
I'm not a football fan, so I could care less either way.
All righty, that's good to know. Well, last week we had the St. Albans show on, and so thank you everyone who tuned in for that one. That was actually our. And anyone that was hearing on the chat knew that the chat was just absolutely blowing up last week, and that was our largest live audience for a show that we've done so far. So I want to thank everyone for supporting us and supporting St. Albans. I've been in touch with Don Hanauer. We're going to have him back on possibly in a few weeks to do St. Albans 2, and also my team's booked to be in there in March, so we're going to get in there and get to do some follow-ups on some of the interesting things that we had going on in that third-floor hallway. If people remember the weird EVPs and the voice saying, make them leave, we want you. And Don has mentioned, I haven't got a chance to check it out yet, but he has mentioned that there's similar EVPs on YouTube that sounds like the same voice, and we had a lot of similar voices. Seemed to be the same female voice in a lot of different spots there in that building. So very much looking forward to that. And another thing, kind of throw this out as a teaser, and maybe I'll actually play some audio next week on this. Did a reveal on Monday of a local spot here in the Greensboro, Winston-Salem area, and we were only in the location for a short period of time, and we got some really, really cool stuff. And they were pretty excited, and I kind of made the pitch about, some places like it known that they have activity in it, and then some places like to keep it very, very hush-hush. But they were very interested in coming on and talking about it and doing a possible show with us where we could talk about some of the things that we got, because some very, very strange things. So pretty interesting. So I will throw that out as a teaser for everyone. So tonight's show, and we're just kind of hanging out here waiting for Nini Grace to call in. We're going to do a spirituality show this evening. So If you would like to call in and weigh in or have anything to add on this, the call-in number is 646-929-2384, or feel free to put in any questions in the chat room this evening. I'll also add, this is a common, this goes for any Sunday Night Dead show, but particularly when we start talking about some things that kind of go around people's beliefs, I always think it's a good idea to kind of throw out the ground rules again on this. We are not Jerry Springer. We don't try to be Jerry Springer, so I try to avoid the drama and shun the drama here, so we can disagree on things, but as in all cases, I want everyone to be respectful to each other, and anyone who is not or tries to do the old, Jerry Springer throwing chairs things over the phone will get muted very quickly. So anyway, weigh in. We want to hear your thoughts. We want to hear what everybody has to say about things. Just please be respectful with it. And let's see, we have a caller. Let's see if this is Nini. Hello, Sunday Night Dead. Who are we speaking with? Hello, area code 386. Hello? Okay, hang on. We're going to get this out of the way right away. People in the chat probably have already seen this. Yep, we lost the call. That Blog Talk's been acting weird tonight, and I'm guessing I didn't see anything. There's no orbs picketing my window tonight. But let's get this out of the way right off the bat. For those of you that haven't listened to this before, we've done some promos about orbs, and we've offended them. So sometimes they sabotage my show. So here we go. We're going to get this out of the way. We're going to give the orbs their time, and then we'll get back to this. Okay, they got their time. We get to let everyone know that the orbs are pissed at me. And now we'll try again. So let's see if this is Nini. Hello, Sunday Night Dead. Who are we speaking with?
My orbs sound like James Earl Jones.
Hey, it's Mr. George Lopez. How are you tonight, sir?
My orbs say, "This is a haunted house."
Well, to give everyone a little bit of the history, and I'm going to have to run this promo again soon, I have a picture from Trans-Allegheny that is just loaded with, again, it's a big old asylum, empty, very dusty, that's got lots of dust in it. And so I posted it and said, orbs don't listen to internet radio because they don't have hands or ears, but if they did, they would listen to Sunday Night Dead. And this has stirred off the whole, it kind of pissed, the orbs got pissed at me, and Vincent was on here the one night talking about how they were picketing the studio, and sometimes they'll sabotage the board, so we have some weird things going on here. So I had this kind of ongoing battle with the orbs, but I try to make nice with them and let them at least get on the air that they're pissed off at me, and so hopefully that gets them all to calm down. But how are you doing, George?
I'm doing fantastic, but not as well as you. I wanted to congratulate you and your crew for doing so wonderful of a show on Sunday night, so successful. With my work schedule having changed, I've gotten a chance to listen in for Sunday Night Dead. Before I was working, so I couldn't do it, but I've listened to each and every one of the shows, and they're all tremendous, and you've got a phenomenal following in that chat room there, buddy, and I'm just so happy and so pleased for what you guys are doing.
Well, thank you so much, and I have to thank you as for everyone out there. It's George Lopez started up Dead Air, and we have shows 5 nights a week right now, and most of them are at the 9 to 11 slot. I believe Fridays at 8 instead. But thank you for getting this whole program rolling, and it's been a blast.
There's a lot to it. There's a lot of what we can contribute. Mike Bowler, of course, is my co-host and the host of Paranormal Kool-Aid on Wednesday nights. He and I talk on a regular basis about the arsenal that we have with these shows 5 nights a week, and the type of people that we have as far as our guests are concerned, and the topics that we bring up. It's a direction, it's a go-to place for a lot of the people here in the paranormal community that want to take an opportunity to really listen to people who talk seriously about this field. We have our fun times, without question, with some of our great guests, but it still always comes back to the fact that this is a field of study. We are learning as we go, and when people such as yourself and John and oh my goodness, I forgot your lovely Kelly, your female co-host.
Yeah.
John, Kelly, and we actually have Ken and Luana as well. So we kind of have this team rotational thing.
Which is nice to have that backup. But they're all phenomenal, and everybody contributes a whole hell of a lot. And I looked on Facebook for Nini Grace, and she's not, her name's there, but there's no cell phone or green dot next to her, so I don't know if she's on the road still. Hopefully she'll make it to the show quick enough. But wanted to say, the St. Albans last week was phenomenal. I think that that there's a lot on the plate for you guys yet to come.
Oh, well, thank you. And we want to get, I'm very appreciative to Don, who emailed me right before that show saying that they had some medical things going on with the family, but once, I believe it was his mother, once she was stable, he basically went out and called in from the parking lot for the first hour of the show to talk St. Albans, and so I definitely was not necessary. We would have gone ahead and done the show and had him on another time, but I was certainly very appreciative of him taking the time and talking about his location. And as I had mentioned earlier, it is one of those locations, and it's the case with a lot of these places, one of these locations that's in danger of getting knocked down. So, if you are interested and if you are in this field and want to check out that place, definitely a place to support in the short term, because it may not be there next year to investigate.
Yeah, it is a phenomenal place, and again, that was one that we had the opportunity to do a live broadcast with Dan Hoover and Jordan Murphy and that crew. We did a live spirit box session from there, and there's a lot of great contributions to that location. The other part of it, too, is that the people who run a lot of these places, Trans-Allegheny, Rolling Hills Asylum, with Sharon Corl and Rebecca Jordan Gleason, they are all just such great people who welcome these teams with open arms to come and investigate and better this field and better the communication and the skill sets for those particular team members that are out there, that it can't go anywhere but forward. The part of the paradrama that a lot of us wind up having to contend with, be it through Facebook or phone calls or text messages or what may be there, we kind of want to always kind of push that to the side and deal with the important part, the knowledge of this field. And one of the things that most people probably don't get a chance to listen to, Matt, when you were just coming on as a guest on the show, is about the statistics that you're compiling. And it's not, unfortunately, brought when you bring guests on board to the forefront of your contributions to this field, as far as trying to find out what are the patterns for a lot of the phenomena that goes on these locations. And Mike and I just recently did a topic about residuals, and the fact that could be a lot easier task to contend with first before trying to see patterns of an intelligence, because ghosts do not respond upon command. The aspect of what may be a residual haunt, whether it's something that is violent or something that is just an echo of walking down a hallway, noises, visuals, things of that sort. But the contention of going that direction and being able to patternize why those things happen the way they happen, and how we can know what the conditions, which is what your speciality is, as far as the investigator, the weather conditions, the time of day or night that these occurrences are happening, that we could start to document that and see if there is some sort of a pattern, so that at any given time, any particular investigator with that knowledge could go in there and capture that evidence. I again applaud you for all the efforts, and it's a lot of work, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, but I love doing it, and again, kind of to the second for anyone that's new listening to this, one of the things we do and what we're looking to do is capture evidence reports from people that investigate different locations and compile them into basically a database to run different statistical models to look to see if there's any types of patterns. And to kind of bring this up before some people jump to conclusions on this, it's not doesn't necessarily mean it's even paranormal. It's basically looking for patterns to explain what people are experiencing. So, you know, if there's a certain part of the building that let's say has skylights and the lighting's a little different, and there's a much higher incidence of shadow play in that area, could it possibly be more related to the lighting as opposed to some of the things going on, things along those lines. So if there is any location where you're actually journaling or collecting evidence from people and you are interested in kind of having this work done and seeing what kind of patterns are out there, by all means, please get in touch with me, because it's something that I would like to expand, and I think it's something that can help all of us out there as investigators.
I'm still going to hire you probably to also build a database to see when I can get lucky with girls. The weather conditions, you know, the location, things like that. So I'll have you work on that as well. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I just want to congratulate you guys again for doing such a phenomenal job, and thank you so much for being part of the Dead Air team, my friend.
Oh, well, thank you, and thank you so much for the opportunity. I've really enjoyed this, and I love doing this show, and hopefully everybody out there enjoys listening. I can't talk this morning, or this afternoon, listening into this. So thank you very much.
My pleasure. You guys have a great night.
Okay, you too. Take care.
Take care.
George is a great guy, and again, I'm very thankful to have the opportunity to do this show. It's been a lot of fun, and it's just been an all-around good time. So what we're going to do is, because I'm not sure, I have some messages out here, but you know, sometimes just like with what happened with Don yesterday, life happens. Some different things could come up. So I've done this before. Shamelessly, I had a show die for the whole first hour that nobody could hear anything, and then when I came on the second hour, I just acted like the show was going and that we had our first Spirit on Spirit interview. And I've also been stuck for about 60 minutes doing a complete monologue once, and people still listen. So we will kind of mix it up here, and this is going to turn into, until we hear from Nini, this will turn into a impromptu topic night, roundtable night, which is always a good thing to do. So actually I'm going to put the also offer back in to George if he would like to come on. I don't know how often he gets asked questions from people, so we can go ahead and have George on here to take questions as well, or we can turn this into our roundtables, which are always very popular. I get a number of emails from people asking, you know, when's the next roundtable, but just so everyone knows, there is kind of a method to how this is all laid out. I try to do feature a team a month, a location a month, a roundtable a month, and then kind of leave 1 week open to, depending on who's available, and kind of mix it up within the other pieces. So that being said, let's, Kelly and John, have you seen any, one of the things that I've seen a lot lately that is really kind of disturbing is, and George is going to join us in a little bit, so this will be good. I'll take it even farther from the paradrama and say absolute parabullying going on. I mean, when you're getting into points where, you know, people are quitting over harassment, or people are needing to file police reports, or, you know, people are totally getting out of the field and, you know, canceling, basically going into hiding because of, you know, threats and harassing behavior from people and stuff. It's just, you know, this is beyond now drama. This is getting into kind of crazy town. So I don't know, you guys, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, I honestly think it's escalating, and it's never been a healthy thing, but I actually think it's starting to get to a very unhealthy level. What do you think, John?
I'm trying to figure out exactly, can you give an example? Is there like any hot topic examples of it?
Yeah, I'm gonna stay away from anything that's gonna necessarily call people out. But I'll do one on.
I mean, basically, what does it consist? Or what's it consist of? Like somebody is posting pictures on Facebook, and then somebody else is bashing them. Because I know I haven't personally seen a lot of it.
It's gone almost to like the middle school level of now just going ahead and singling out. You're a team in my area. I don't like you. I'm gonna go after you. And so whether it's all kinds of discrediting or
like a territorial
harassing behavior, it's a territorial thing, or it's it could be kind of a pissing contest over something different. It's very, 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 very disturbing in my opinion that things are going on. Now, what I've done is the approach I'm taking on this all is I just have a very low tolerance level for it. So I'm not going to – I think this is a good forum to discuss it, but I'm not going to go ahead and feed it in terms of groups that are out there and doing that type of activity I don't associate myself with. So I definitely see it going on. And here we go. I believe George has rejoined us. Hey, George, how are you?
Hey, I checked the database you sent me, and it said if I did the show tonight during this particular moon phase, I could get lucky with a girl at the end of the night.
There you go. There you go.
So I thought I'd come back.
And we can run stats on anything. We just need some we just need data points, and so and some of these things that people might want to know. It's might be a little too TMI for people. So, George, I want to get your thoughts on this because I know you have certainly waded into some drama territory with some guests. What's your opinion on the bullying thing? Do you think it's on the rise, or has it always been going on and is just getting more visibility?
I had a discussion with another friend in the community just about this 3 or 4 days ago. The problem is, and it seems to be in particular quadrants of the country. The particular one we were talking about was in the Northeast, and what it seems like, and make this a joke, if you will, and it does sound funny, but you think about areas where, in the New England sector particularly, where there is some heavy hunting going on, if you will. We've talked about Melanie Cabrera and John Brightman going after James Anito and that whole deal. And I mean, that kid is basically run off the map. They came after him so hard. He did make a lot of mistakes, but again, nobody's perfect in this field. We're still learning it. He was looking for the notoriety at a very young age, and plus that adds arrogance. And but there were people out there that felt that he was not conducive to the community, so let's get rid of him at our hardest effort. And I thought about it. The person I was talking to from was that same sector of the country. That is it possible from a genetic hereditary trait? This is the same area where the Salem witch hunts used to be, and if this is somewhat of a modern-day witch hunt with a lot of people in the community of the paranormal, that they're always feeling the need to go after somebody, whoever it may be, that they're ready to knock it down. That the issues with Aaron Houdini going over at Post-Town Elementary and giving them the ultimatum, bring in an unbiased group of investigators to prove that you're not faking evidence, and if you do, then we'll allow you to continue if they can bring evidence forward. If we prove there's no evidence of paranormal phenomena, you have to lock the doors tomorrow and never open again, which makes no sense because there is no guarantee in this field, none, that you're going to go out there with your equipment and you're going to capture evidence. As I just said earlier, spirits don't respond on demand. So they could just have a completely reluctant group of spirits who don't want to communicate with them at that location. Doesn't necessarily mean that the place doesn't have spirit phenomena occurring. That's on the other side of the card. If you think about it, when people are talking about this type of investigating that we do, and people will charge for it, $2,000, $5,000 in some cases. We had Twisted Dixie on who talked about doing exactly that for commercial locations. And they say, we will turn all the evidence over to you. How can you charge $5,000 for something you cannot promise unless, again, you are manipulating false positives? You are creating the evidence. How can you guarantee evidence of a haunting for a building that wants to be known for being haunted? You can't. There's no guarantee in this community. So, again, when it comes back down to your basic question about is the bullying going to stop, I don't think it ever will. because it's the people factor. Forget about the science of this. Forget about the execution of what they do when they investigate. When they get into the aspect of personalities, you're going to run across those out there that just don't mesh. It's just going to happen. But why they have to air everything over the internet on Facebook instead of just getting together in a simple phone call? I've had issues with people in the past that I'll get with them right away, and either we're going to find an amicable agreement or to agree to disagree. But either way, that's about where it ends. Never going to see a battle on the internet because there's no reason to do so. I think it's very elementary in the way that some of these people carry themselves when it comes to that particular part of our field. My opinion, anyway.
Oh, I agree, and I think in terms of whether you're a team that's looking to collaborate with someone or a location that's looking for a team or some individuals out there, I think that conduct says a lot about your style and your professionalism, and so I think you might win the battle but lose the war on some of these things, and that airing some of this stuff out just in the end might just make you look bad. And I don't know if I was out there. I've talked before about we have weird things going on where I'm at now, and if I was going to go bring somebody else in here to check out the place, I certainly wouldn't jump first at somebody that I see a whole bunch of arguing and drama on their associated sites.
Let's take a scenario, Matthew, just like we talked about, each and every investigative location that you go to, and you're going to find different personalities out there. And who's to say that, and this is one of the things we've talked about in theory, you go to an investigation and you just absolutely ignore the spirit phenomena that's allegedly there, and you're faking that you're doing construction or you're going to be doing renovating, or you're just talking about the history, but you're not stopping every 5 seconds asking an EVP question. You're not stopping every 5 seconds saying, did you hear that bump? You completely ignore it and keep going. In that scenario where two people just can't get along and they're arguing with each other throughout that investigation, that may indeed, until itself, perpetuate activity, almost like somebody saying, hey, guys, I'm here. Hey, hello, and they're just ignoring because they're fighting too much. There's nothing to be said about people. People are going to be people the way they are. I mean, there's people who are in a high energy vibration, people in a very low energy vibration, like you and I. We've gotten a chance and a privilege to investigate with each other at Old Florida Ghost Town. But you'll have a cornucopia of different personalities and energies that go on there. That's perfectly fine. Where it becomes frustrating or aggravating is this little tit-for-tat battle that goes on the internet, on the Facebook. We've called forward to our shows some of the conflicts. One of our most precious ones involved a young, brilliant investigator by the name of Matthew Slozer going up against a David Roundtree on a Monday night show. And it was a phenomenal discussion of variant opinions about evidence collection and documenting. It was phenomenal. Those are wonderful shows to bring out the content and get into discussion of. But this backstabbing kind of way that people will deal with this on the internet, and I know Tracy Todd had said, well, how's the best way to handle this? If you're close to somebody who's doing it, my best recommendation to it, and I try to handle it the same way, whether it's with my hosts or people I know in the community, is handle it by a one-on-one. Get the absolute evidence, the truth out of it, and talk to that individual about it. And if they turn around and say, oh, yeah, I promise I won't do that anymore, and they you continue that conversation over the phone as you would do with a friend. If you have respect for a colleague, then respect them and deal with it on a one-on-one basis. Don't turn it into a three-ring circus on the internet, posting your opinion, sharing with other people, blocking this person. My favorite saying, and I'm still... Riley Black, our Friday show host, says, I've got to get a shirt put out for it. And it just says on the front, paradrama on the back of the shirt, it says, I don't care.
Yeah, it's a good way to look at it. Kelly, what are your thoughts on all this?
I think, I agree wholeheartedly with what George said. Whenever you get egos involved, and I think that's where it's come in, is where the strong egos and people wanting to be the top dog, and I think that just they've let the true reasoning why we're doing this just go to the wayside. And the bullying, it bothers me incredibly, and I just try and completely stay away from it. I mean, I just did a blog on this because I've got a good friend that she had posted a picture, someone had posted a picture of one of their investigations, but they had just labeled it wrong. And someone jumped all over them, and she was just, and it just escalated, snowballed into this horrible, horrible thing over just like a misprint of what, all they had to do was, correct it. But no, the egos involved are saying, oh, they're faking evidence, they're faking this, and it's just ridiculous. It's getting to the point where I don't even want to look at Facebook anymore. I just don't even want to go on it because it's one thing after another. I stay out of it. I ignore it, and I love, George, if you get that shirt, I want one because I love it. I don't even care. You want to bash each other, go for it. Just leave me out of it because I don't care. That's not what I'm in this for. So.
You got it.
I've used the analogy, and people that have known me or been friends with me on Facebook have seen this. I kind of use the analogy of call it the island, or now we've gone the Star Wars route. Now I call it the Empire because I've declared myself Emperor of the island, and it's just you can control, just like it's like with the TV. Something upsets you and gets your blood pressure up. You probably shouldn't sit there watching it, 4 or 5 hours a day. And so what I've chose is I still like being in touch with people on these things. I'm not going to get rid of it, but, if there's individuals on there that, put things on there that get my blood pressure up consistently, I'm just not going to even subject myself to that anymore, and I'll just hide their posts. Or, if somebody's outright obnoxious, which, very fortunately I have not, and I think in some regards, I'm not indicting anyone on this. In some regards, you kind of reap what you sow, style-wise on things. So I think, at least I hope I've been respectful to most people in most formats, and for the most part, I've gotten respect in return. But if in cases where it's not, then I would just kind of quote unquote boot them off the island. So, John, what are your thoughts?
My one thought is it the fact that a lot of people are getting into the paranormal, and you're getting a lot of people who are not very passionate about it, or just think it, they see these TV shows, and there's a little bit of a tension between people who are very passionate about it, who've put their heart and soul into, making these teams, and they do their research, and they buy their equipment, and then they kind of look over their shoulder and they see these guys who just come along like, oh, I saw it on TV. It looks really cool. I mean, is that play into it any? Is a little bit?
I think it's part of it, but this is the one thing that kind of bothers me, and we'll just use last week's show as an example. St. Albans. Whether, you've been doing this for 30 years or whether you've just done it in 2, the number of people interested in this and going out there and doing things creates more opportunity for everyone. I mean, there's more people around and things, but, St. Albans, that will only stick around if there continues to be people willing to get in there and investigate it. And it's going to have to be more than 3 or 4 teams wanting to get in there and investigate it. They need a steady stream of people wanting to check that out, whether it is regular teams or whether it is kind of a public investigation with 20 people that are just curious to see what the inside of the place looks like. So I think in some respects that attitude, whereas I understand where they might be coming from initially, I think it's counterproductive because, again, the bigger, and I hate to say it in terms of business because I think that's part of the problem too is, the pseudo-business side of this can, create some of this animosity and competition. But the bigger the market is, the more people interested in this area, the more opportunities there are going to be. I don't know. What do you think, John?
Yeah, I agree there, too. The other thing I was wondering, too, this is kind of a stretch, is the makeup of the teams. I mean, it seems like a lot of teams have what they call a medium or a psychic or, I guess, sensitive. I wonder if that plays into it. Like, a lot of teams think, like, they seem to try to, oh, well, he doesn't know what he's talking about. She doesn't know what she's talking about. How can you believe he's really a medium? That seems to play in it too, especially with like demontology. I see that's a touchy subject on all the shows. And what do you mean you're a demontologist? And they have this preconception of it, and they attack rather than just saying, okay, it's, that team has this, that's cool. I think that plays into it.
Because I think, and I'm curious to see what George and Kelly think on this as well. My personal opinion is because some of these things get close to people's beliefs, their overall kind of worldview and spiritual beliefs on things, and it's just like they always say, don't discuss religion and politics. The closer you get to somebody's beliefs, they're going to want to, not everyone, but I mean, there's a tendency to want to defend what you believe and point out that, this is wrong because I believe this, and this is right because I believe this. And so I think that's where part of this comes from. And, I've mentioned before that, nobody gets out of this without a belief system. I mean, if you believe there's absolutely nothing out there, that's still believing something. That's your belief system. And so I think that's where part of this gets in. You have people out there that believe it's absolutely nothing, that, we basically just, it's nothing after we die, and they're out there to point out that and prove their positions to everybody else. And you have people with the opposite attitude, and that's what stirs some of this as well. What do you think, George?
Honestly, Matthew, I don't think it has anything to do with that, and that's just my belief, if you will. I think it just becomes that there are some people who believe that there's a hierarchy. Now, there is an existent hierarchy. We understand that, and those people who have succeeded by doing the television shows, and the general public perceives them as being the elite in the community. Those of us who have been in the community for quite some time understand that there's a greater elite status out there, and those people who put in 30 and 40 years in this community doing research, publishing books about this incredible phenomena that we do, paranormal investigating from all aspects of it, be it cryptozoology, demonology, as John was talking about, ufology, and spirit phenomena. Those people, though, if you notice, are never out there tooting their own horn or telling everybody that everything else out there is absolutely wrong. Everybody's doing it the wrong way. It's our way, and that's it. There is a lower echelon hierarchy that believe that because, and this is only supposition, that they are believing that maybe they put out a book, one, or they've watched every show, every season, or they've gone and to a convention or a seminar that one of these shows have had, Ghost Adventures, Ghost Hunters at a haunted location, that they have put themselves on an upper echelon in this community and are now the lawmakers, if you will, for anybody else out there that doesn't march to the beat of their drum and go by the way that they say it. I don't think, if there's a person belief system out there, and we need that diversity in belief systems. We need people to say there's no such thing, and I'll prove to you why, because we want those people to go out there and be a skeptic so that whatever evidence comes about has been scrutinized extensively. That's the kind of people we do want. And those are the same people, again, who don't look at it and go, well, you people out there that are investigating, you're all idiots. I don't see that on the table either. Again, what I see mostly out there, Matthew, is people who are sitting there going, it's my way or the highway. The way that we do it is the right way. And there's no playbook that's ever been designed for this community, other than the books that the television stars have put out, and most of it is based upon their experiences. But there's never been an A to Z encyclopedia on paranormal investigation, and this is the way to be done. And I hope that never comes to pass anyway, because that, again, the diversity of each investigative team trying new things, looking at new and practical ways to gather evidence is what makes this so amazing of a field. And the thing that's missing, as far as the antithesis to paradrama, is the para-unity, is people out there who are finding a pattern such as what you're doing with the database collecting and saying, when we use this piece of equipment and we use this format, we get evidence every time. And then sharing that with the community and saying, you guys try this. We'd like your feedback. Send it back to our Facebook or our website. We'd like to know if you guys are getting the same results we are. And starting to cut out like the flashlight conversations and things of that nature that really don't make any sense. Even the K2s, because they're affected by cell phones and radio transmissions. But going towards definitive responses and definitive evidence, that goes on a regular format. That's what we got to look for. But again, the minute that somebody comes into existence or notoriety in this community, there's somebody there out of jealousy or whatever it may be that wants to knock them down and lock them down so they can't rise back up again. And I think that's where it comes from. Not the diversity of it, but just an arrogance, a narcissistic viewpoint that that particular individual, whoever's starting the drama, is doing it because they think that their way is the best way that is in this field, which I don't think there is such a thing at all.
Very good point. And I've mentioned on this before, and I strongly believe this. If we all did everything the same way, we'd all be replicating the same mistakes. So I personally think, the more people out there trying different things, and the more different things that are being attempted, as long as it's not endangering anyone safety-wise or doing anything illegal, I think that the better off we are. Kelly, what are your thoughts on this whole topic?
Well, my goodness, I don't think I could add much more than what George has added, and that, and oh my gosh, I could just sit and listen to your voice all night, George. Wow. You've got a great voice. Sorry. But no, I agree. It's not our spirituality and beliefs that is bringing us down. It's the, like he said, the arrogance, and it's the, thinking that we all have to follow this order, and it shouldn't be that way, because we should all have the open minds to venture out and try new things and do new things. And the sharing, I absolutely love that. If people would do that more, I don't think we'd have time to fight amongst each other. We'd be working together, but unfortunately I don't think that concept is ever going to really catch on with everybody. But it's the arrogance, because the people that I know that have strong spiritual beliefs, they've got open minds, and we share our different views, but we don't fight about it. And I think it's just where, I saw it on this TV show, so it's got to be true, and that's how I got to do it, and no one else can do it any differently. What? That's just kind of stupid, I think. But that's just how I feel about it, I guess.
Well, anyone else who would like to weigh in on this, the number is 646-929-2384, talking a little bit about parabullying, and I also want to ask George some questions, because I've personally not heard some of this, and I'm curious as well. So gonna ask you right off the bat here, George, how'd you ever get involved in the paranormal to begin with?
I was hoping to get into it for the chicks. How's that working out for me? I guess it was a series of circumstances that brought me into it, just by relocating for a job, moving from South Florida to Central Florida, and just to tell you how bad I am with geography, I'm here on the East Coast, just north of Daytona Beach, Florida, wedged between Daytona and Jacksonville. And I was under the belief that St. Augustine, Florida, and I'd seen pictures on the internet of how beautiful it is with the horse and carriage and all this stuff. And I thought it was over by Tampa on the West Coast. I had no clue until somebody had told me that it was just 30 minutes north. And I'm like, oh, we're so there. So we went up there just as, I guess, somebody who was curious about the history, nothing about paranormal whatsoever, curious about the history of the place, because it's the oldest city, established city in the country, 1563, I believe, and decided that I wanted to go up there and see this because it looks so beautiful on all the pictures on the website. And it is. It is an absolutely gorgeous town. It's a college town as well. But between Fort Matanza and the lighthouse and the old jail and Ripley's, believe it or not, and the two cemeteries, Huguenot and Talamato Cemetery, heard all these different things about it being haunted. And I was just, I had never had any kind of a paranormal experience. Always people talk about the fact when they were young they had something happen, that's why they pursue this. I've had nothing. When I grew up, we had a ghost in the house in New Jersey that I grew up in, Perth Amboy, New Jersey, Sayreville, really, that we called Henry, things that would, bump in the closet and stuff. But again, it was, at that age, nothing was real. We was just making fun of it. And then started doing little investigations up there. Bought a recorder and a camera. There's the Ghost store is actually located in St. Augustine. It's a huge internet success to buy all the most updated equipment. So went stopped by there and bought just a few things and started investigating the cemeteries to begin with. And I got hooked from that point on, and even had one of my first and craziest and best paranormal experiences right there at the cemetery, where they were doing some construction to the parking lot adjacent to it, and they had, of all things, and this is what's funny about it, because you sit there and you go, that's crazy, but it makes sense at the same time. There were six porta-johns set up right next to the cemetery. And I'm out there with my girlfriend at the time, and we're there about 2:30, 3 in the morning. There's nobody around, not a gust of wind, anything. And all of a sudden, one of the porta-john doors just opens by itself all the way up. And I'm staring right at it. It closes halfway, opens all the way up again, and then closes very, very slowly without a sound. And if anybody's been to a concert or any kind of an outdoor event where the porta-johns are, you know they've got those spring doors. So when you open it up, you can hear that spring kind of rattling. So we went over to open it up, thought maybe there was a homeless person in there or something, and opened the door up, and of course it made the spring sound, but there was nobody in there. And I thought that was just the coolest thing in the world. So it gets to the point in time for those people who listen to the show have never gone on an investigation. If you don't want to get addicted, don't ever go, because the first time that something happens to you, you can't explain it. And it is, startling to one extent or another, because you can't explain it. You can't believe what your eyes are seeing or what your ears are hearing. But when you have that happen to you, and Matt will certainly 100% agree with me, it just starts this whole, I want the next level of this. I want the next experience of this, and it never stops. And it hasn't stopped for me for near about a decade. It's been a phenomenal ride, and there's no way in hell anytime soon I'm getting off this ride.
Oh, awesome! It's definitely an experience, and I totally agree. If you get involved in this and have something happen, you will absolutely get hooked on it. So how did you get? We had done the Florida Ghost Town down there, and how'd you ever get? I mean, that was a great experience, and I have a couple questions for you about even our time down there doing that. But how'd you ever get involved in that to begin with?
There was I don't know if it's even still on the internet anymore, Shadowlands Haunted Places, which is a really cool website, and it breaks down, and it's exactly that, shadowlandhauntedplaces.com, I think, but excuse me, you can go on there wherever you're going to, whatever state you're in. It breaks it down by state and then by city, and you can go through a list of 40 or 50 sometimes where you reside at, places to go and investigate. And I came upon Kerr City, Old Florida Ghost Town, and decided to look it up, and there was a phone number connected to it, so I called the proprietor, Mr. Brennan, and asked to come out there and investigate. And our first time out there, I was out there with just two people, husband and wife, and we caught some, amazing Class A EVPs, physical encounters. It was just an amazing location. And it started off, and of course, Matt, having gone there now, the stories that have gone down there, but we had no idea what we were contending with. We had no background information. We just basically knew that it was an abandoned town from the early 20th century, and we wanted to go in there and see what was going on. To today, which would have been today if we had gone out, we had to cancel. Unfortunately, we had a lot of people who canceled for tonight's event to go out there. But we were going to go investigate that this evening. There will be my 16th visit to this location, and it has built upon that time the information from and this is the important part again for everybody listening. If you're going to be doing investigations and you're serious about a favorite haunt that you're going to, not just to see if you can get scared, not just to see if you can get one or two EVPs, but start to build on your story. In the time that we've done this, and we were able to produce this now for anybody who comes along with us for the first time, the storylines behind what's happened there, including the double murder in the post office, Mr. Nasty, to what has, for whatever reason, created a portal in the father's house. There's a multitude of activity there, and again, giving all that information out there when the investigators come on board is to give them the ammunition to work with when they start doing their audio sessions or spirit box sessions or whatever they decide to utilize. And Matthew's first time there probably got him just as hooked as my first time there because so much was going on at the time. And I'm sure, my visits there, Matthew, will not end till I'm in the 20s and 30s for the number of times that I've been there, because there's always somebody who wants to go and say, I want to experience something paranormal. This is the place to go to. And this place has been turned down. The owner has turned down my ghost story, and the owner has turned down Ghost Adventures. He does not want any recognition. He does not want any notoriety. It's his property. His family grew up there. He is sixth or fifth generation in that place, and he's got his children, his grandchildren there. So he doesn't want this place to become known nationwide, where people are just breaking in, vandalizing the homes, vandalizing the cemetery where his two sons are buried. You and I had this talk about this, Matt, and it's hard because you can probably empathize and understand what he's talking about, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just going to add, the way that I approach this as well, I left there doing that investigation with you in early November, feeling like, I just scratched the surface. I mean, there were so many things I wanted to try, so many places I wanted to, we never even got, after the initial tour, we never even got back out to the cemetery, where we had some odd things happen, and ended up recording some very interesting audio, so I'm definitely intrigued about the cemetery again.
Yeah, and how fast did that time go by?
Oh, it flew. It flew. And, there was so much in the father's house, which was very, very interesting that went on there, that I just, again, it's just there's so much to check out, and that's my advice to any location as well. If they're willing to do it, I prefer depth over breadth and kind of, repeat investigations and understanding the patterns. But I will make the side note here of I obviously wouldn't do that for someone's private location. I wouldn't use their, if it's a home where they're experiencing problems and activity and things, I wouldn't, it's to help them. It's not to use their house as an experiment, unless it is a historic location or some location where it's ongoing investigations anyway, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is, and we had a very interesting scenario happen with us on this last endeavor as well, where something attached to me. I did something, and again, a warning for anybody interested in going to a certain location is always understand that there are risks involved. People who get into this because they love the TV shows, and they want to go out there and they want to get scared, and they want to have a first EVP experience that they can share with people and say, this was the coolest thing I ever did, do not understand that there's risk involved. It's something that I will bring up in each and every time that I'll take somebody out for an investigation somewhere, something that I repeat to myself every time that I go to a new location that I've never been to myself as well. When we were at this last time, I did something I'd never done before, and that was allow something to use my energy, not in the sense of what Zach says on Ghost Adventures, that portal that we were talking about in the father's house when Matthew and Bob Beck, my equipment manager, and myself, and one of the people that you had brought along, and Bob's son, they were all there, and we did an experiment, and everything that happened to you happened to Bob's daughter an hour and a half earlier. It was emotional. It was difficult to deal with. And when I went into that portal, I stood in that closet, and I said the words I probably shouldn't have said, show me. Show me how you come from your world to this world. And I know you got to go to break, but I'll explain what happened to me afterwards.
Yeah, it's a very, very interesting story, and so definitely want to get into that. And I want to thank Kelly, who I know, Kelly, you have a very early morning tomorrow, so I know you need to run, but I want to thank you for being with us this first hour.
Oh no, thanks for asking me, and it's been interesting listening. I really don't want to go to bed, but I've got blood tests in the morning, so I have to go.
All right, well, sounds good. Usual drill here at the top of the hour. I'm going to play, it's actually 2 songs today because they're kind of short, so total is going to be about 5 minutes. So we'll be back in about 5, and we're going to get into some very interesting things that happened at Kerr City with George Lopez. You're listening to Sunday Night Dead on Dead Air. We'll be back in 5.
Don't you hate when it doesn't play?
Yeah, is it not playing?
And my singing voice just isn't what it used to be.
It's all just chugging. It must be the orbs. Hang on. Hopefully we get it back on. Hopefully at least you guys can hear me. All right, we're having technical difficulties. Please stand by.
Good old blog talk.
Technical difficulties. Please stand by. It said it was playing, so I don't know if it's... We'll fire it up again. That was weird. So sorry, guys, if you heard this before. We're just, the orbs are...
Panic on the streets of London. Panic on the streets of Birmingham. I wonder to myself, could life ever be sane again? The least side streets are just slipped down. I wonder to myself, hopes may rise and the grass may, but honey pie, you're not
of the Carnathian Empire, and you're listening to Sunday Night Dead, a show we consider marginally adequate, and Matthew Slozer, a host we do not, but at least he's better than Vincent.
Welcome back, everybody, to Sunday Night Dead. This is Matthew Slozer from Automoon Paranormal in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, and going to bring back my co-host, John Coghill, and our guest this evening, George Lopez. Everybody back?
Good evening.
So what we were talking about before we got to the break was this experience at the Florida Ghost Town, which was pretty interesting, with that closet and the portal. And so I'll let you kind of tee up your whole experience there and the aftermath of it, and then we'll kind of get into a little bit of just what went on in that room in general, because it was I have to agree, it was one of the weirdest experiences I have had in a location. So go ahead and fill everyone in on the experience there, George.
Yeah, so I came out of the closet with Matt Slozer, and we had some weird experiences. Oh, wait, not that story. I'm sorry. Wrong one. Okay. Before we went to break it, by the way, I appreciate that music as well. It reminds me back when I was a beatnik in the 1960s. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Greatly appreciate it. Now, the part of it that was, disconcerting, I think for anybody out there who doesn't understand, again, the importance of what we're dealing with, the unknown. But bottom line, you could talk to 10 different investigators about what they think that we're communicating with, and you could get 10 different responses because we're not absolutely sure. There are some out there that are dead certain, no pun intended on the word, but that we are speaking with people, but we don't know. We honestly don't know. We've not had enough as far as physical evidence to confirm that or deny it either. We're just kind of in this paranormal limbo trying to get answers still. But the aspect of risk being involved was so apparent and aware to me. Like I said, nearing about a decade of doing this, and I've had the privilege of, if you want to call it that, standing in the gateway to hell in the basement of Bobby Mackey's, investigating at Rolling Hills Asylum, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum, Waverly Hills Sanatorium, Eastern State Penitentiary, a multitude of trips to Savannah, a multitude of trips to St. Augustine to do the lighthouse, the old jail, the old Spanish military hospital, and never have I encountered what I encountered at Kerr City on this last trip with you in November, and which was, again, doing something that I'd never done before. And this relates to, and maybe we'll get into this topic about Ouija boards here in a second, but about utilizing your energies. And it wasn't in the sense of what, again, you would hear from the guys on Ghost Adventures where they say, use my energy. I had experiences in this particular room on the second floor of the father's house. The closet area has always been a draw for me. The closet space is very, very small. It's not really a walk-in closet per se. It's big enough that you can step into it. But there's not much room otherwise, but it always had this ominous aura about it, if you will. And when I would bring other people up, I'd say, where are you drawn up here? Most people will go to the same location. So in this particular case, as we experimented again on, communicating with whatever was coming in and out of there, seeing small shadow movements. Matthew, when we get you a chance to elaborate on what you experienced sitting on the far bed facing the window with your back to the closet, but all these different things compiled together, I wanted more answers. So in doing so, what I wound up doing was going back to my curiosity level of this field and asking, by standing inside of that closet, show me how you move from your dimension or from where you're from to here. And the visions that I had were not pretty. It was pitch black in there. My eyes were open, yet I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. The door was even open, but in asking that, no light was emitting into that closet. I couldn't see anything. But what I was visualizing was hell from all aspects. That almost something that you would probably see in old biblical drawings of these small, big, wide, sharp-teethed smiles with the horns and the wild hair on top kind of creatures. And it was disconcerting, to say the least. And what transpired from that was the next couple of days, after we had gone there, I was home. There were feelings that I had not ever experienced before of surrender, that I was ready to give up everything. I didn't want to do anything with the show, with the paranormal, with work. It was almost an aspect of abandonment. And were it not for several close friends that I could speak to about this and mention the fact of what had transpired, and they, some of them yelled at me, "How could you do something so stupid?" And my answer was, we're supposed to. We're supposed to take these risks. We're supposed to excel this field and this community and find out where the risks are and what it is that we're communicating with. If you're just going to go out there to just have an experience, go to the great haunted locations out there, you get some great pictures, whatever, and say this was a cool thing. But if you're doing it for the aspect of what happens after we die, if you're doing it for the aspect of what it is that this universe consists of, you have to kind of jump into the pool at the deep end, and that's what I did. And I paid for it. But in talking again to certain people, friends of mine, including Jeff Belanger, the producer from Ghost Adventures, and I said, Jeff, this is really, excuse the expression, screwing with me. I'd rather be trying to keep myself clean and PG. But I said, what am I supposed to do? And he says, it's happened to me, George. It'll go in a couple of days. Just don't let it sit in your mind about it. And it did. By Thursday, again, we went on investigation Sunday or Monday. It was Monday because the show was going on, and Tuesday was when I was at my lowest, and by Thursday I was slowly crawling out of it. But this is something that, again, people have to be very well aware of, that there are dangers involved with this field if you are not prepared for it. And even if you are prepared for it, you still could be susceptible. I think the only thing that saved me from something being long-term is that I'm extremely grounded with my faith, extremely grounded with my own personal foundation, that it wasn't going to rip me apart, where I wound up thinking about the negative things, that people wind up doing, suicide, abuse, chemical or alcohol abuse, things of that nature. Just kind of stood my ground and knew where I was at. Plus, I consider my house of sanctuary. I've never had a spiritual visit really in this home of mine, other than friends that I've invited. Other than that, no, never had anything. So, but it was an interesting time, Matthew. And I know for you also, you had some things happen there that you couldn't ever explain and couldn't experience before as well. Pretty intense stuff.
Yeah, it was interesting, and again, first time investigating with you. Obviously, you don't want to have any caught off guard, embarrassing moments. And when we're doing the initial tour, you mentioned about the things going on in that closet, and so you asked me to go ahead and go in there and kind of shut the door and see what happens. And so I shut the door, and very odd noise. I could almost say, and if anyone remembers the movie from the 80s, Predator, how it made that, the Predator made that weird, clicking sound. It was kind of like that, but a little higher pitched, almost like a smaller version of Predator was making the noise. And heard this clicking in the back of, scratching in this clicking sound in the back of the closet. And so I'm just, kind of call out, is anybody there? Is anything going on? Heard it again. Well, all of a sudden, that same noise then came up about, I'm going to guess it was maybe 5 inches away from my face. So it was one thing hearing that noise at the back of the closet. It's another thing in the dark when all of a sudden you hear this thing right in your face. And so not something that I would have wanted to do, but I got the heck out of there pretty quick. And so opened the door, did my patented holy shit, which is always my little key that I've got caught off guard by something, because I've noticed I'm very consistent, and that's my phrase. And popped out of there, and very, very, very strange. And then I believe, George, it was you that actually at one point then, when we were doing this setup in the room, actually saw something come out of that closet?
Yeah, a couple times, as a matter of fact, about tiny, 2 feet maybe. First couple of times peeking out the door, of the closet in shadow form. And again, it's funny about how your eyes may be playing on tricks on you. It's just, the shadows, your eyes trying to focus in the dark. Nothing, of course, captured on camera. But again, we don't know what these entities have the capability of doing, how they can remain invisible in some aspects, and others cannot. But there was a couple of different times we saw it running across the floor up by you, and almost identical to that. There was one point in time I was actually still standing in the closet before I made those stupid requests, and I could sense kind of in a synergetic kind of way what they were deciding to do. And if you remember, I said, okay, now, Matt, what are you feeling? And it was like instantaneous, you started feeling what was going on over there, that they came into play. So they were certainly showing themselves to us in one aspect or another, and you could certainly feel it from what you were dealing with sitting on the far side of the bed.
Oh yeah, it was weird, and for people out there, and I find this very interesting. And I know somebody, when we did the show a couple months ago about this investigation, somebody weighed in and they thought that possibly had something to do with someone hiding in the closet, in the past watching this. But there seemed to be some dynamic of when George was in the closet and I was sitting on the far bed. So if you can just picture this room, there's a mirror, there's the door you come in, there's a mirror off to the right, the closet would be right to your left of where you come in, and then there'd be, two beds and a window out the other side. And the group, we were in two teams investigating this location, and the group that was there earlier had this setup where somebody was sitting on the bed kind of looking out the window, and really weird things happened to them. I didn't know what they were, but as it turns out, I believe my description of what I was experiencing in that position was similar to what the other person had. But there seemed to be something odd about this straight line, So George is in the closet looking out the window. I'm sitting on the bed looking out the window, and that seemed to be what stirred up activity. I had what felt like a very hard grasp on my shoulder. So, like somebody, not like somebody get up and pat somebody on the shoulder, more like if you wanted to get up and kind of dig in more into somebody's shoulder. Then I had that on kind of both shoulders. Had very cold, like ice cold sensations, like my whole body. Then at one point you had, George, you asked me to lay back. And when I laid down, that is when I got the sensation of almost like something was on my chest. And then this is the weirdest, this is going to sound really bizarre, folks, but weirdest sensation, basically, if you could picture like a rope, or I'd even say almost like a snake, something kind of long, and it was very, very cold, running. It went down my chest, down one side of my body, up the other side, and across my face. And it was right around that time that George said, that's enough, we're going to pull the plug on this, and we wrapped up the investigation in that room. But very, very bizarre. Some experiences that I have not encountered anywhere else, and we had some very weird audio and things to go along with it as well.
Yeah, there was a couple times during this, and it's been this way for quite some time. Bob Becker's in the chat room with us now. He's our equipment manager. I want to say welcome, Bob, and I could tell you that, again, he's been there with me since just about the beginning. And almost every time that we go, we bring guests. And one time, is a good friend of mine that I know for some time, and he wanted to bring his girlfriend along, and didn't even give me the information until we were in the middle of the investigation that she was pregnant. And when we were down at the post office and doing a spirit box session down there, things got a little bit heated and a little bit out of hand, and we stopped right then and there and left. We have to do that constantly because we have to protect those that are under, our guidance while we're there, and not just just run away with it, because we don't know what the implications are going to be until and unless we have a scenario where we are bringing only a group of very experienced investigators out there, and no particular guests or family members. Will we proceed forward past that point of no return, where we're doing something and everybody is prepared for whatever the ramifications may be? But between yourself being out there, Jason Musgrove being out there, a multitude of great investigators in the Central Florida area who've gotten a chance to go out there with us as well. Everybody on board of this place has said it's one of the greatest experiences they've ever had going to Kerr City. And again, as time goes on and marches on, that open invitation is still out there for others who would love to come along and investigate with us, for sure.
Awesome, and I hope we get down to Florida about once a year, so I'm definitely looking forward to hopefully schedules mesh that we'd be able to do that again, because I feel like I just scratched the surface of that place.
We got to start early with you, Matthew. If you come down to Florida again, we'll start off light. We'll go to the Haunted Mansion in Disney World first, brother.
Well, I blame the Haunted Mansion for all the people asking questions about, aren't you afraid of something following you home? Because, everybody sees the end of the Haunted Mansion where the hitchhiking ghost hops in your buggy, and so bad press from Disney. But, it was a very, very interesting place, and at the post office as well, we had a bunch of odd things going on. And I still thought this was interesting when you said that you would talk to someone who mentioned Jeffrey, because when we were down there earlier, when it was just us and you were calling Mr. Nasty, I was trying to, and I guess I should preface this because I usually don't do anything remotely provoking, but if there's something that tends to be kind of nasty that seems to be hiding, I guess sometimes I'll wade a little bit into the provoking part. So I was in there, and I'm like, Melissa, who was in the chat room, and Curtis were in, I guess, the room that's considered his room, and they had a flashlight, a large flashlight propped up, and I'm back in the room where the murder happened, and I said, everyone calls you Mr. Nasty. I don't think your name's Mr. Nasty. I think your name's Jeffrey. And I went, Jeffrey, and the flashlight, which again, it was not one of the little mag lights. This was like a big, metal large flashlight, fell over. And it seemed like we got some interesting reactions by doing the Jeffrey thing. And then when I was talking to you after that rotation, you had mentioned that someone else had mentioned the name Jeffrey, that they got the name Jeffrey when they were down there. So it was just kind of an interesting experience. And also got a very weird photo. I'll have to post this back up on the Sunday Night Dead page as well. But I got a very interesting photograph in that post office as well. George, why don't you tell the audience a little bit about the deal in the post office?
It's a sad story, and to start off with a great case researcher that we had on our team, Jeff Soden, that unfortunately is not on our team anymore for financial reasons and other things that he couldn't keep on board as well. Everybody's got priorities, and it just happens in this field, and there's nothing you can do about it. But we do miss him dearly. He's just a phenomenal investigator, but did the research in the background about the homicide that had occurred in this particular location. And we couldn't put the names together, and that was part of the legwork that we did with our investigations. And I noticed somebody in the chat room was talking about a favorite place they've gone to 7 times and how important it is for you to get your familiarization with them and start to get the stories of what had transpired. In this particular case, the woman that we had caught, the name Alana, one of our first cases, a Class A EVP in the cemetery, although we could never find her headstone, was somebody that seemed to be important to several people. Found out that she was the nurse, or for the city, or for the Kerr City wasn't even a city; it's more just a small town of 100 people. The highest population was 100 people, but she was the nurse, worked in the upper level of the post office. And when we were doing these investigations, we were getting contact from her, contact from a little girl who we eventually found out her name was Becca or Rebecca, and this dark, shadowy, looming figure who would go after several of the investigators, particularly the young ones, when they went out there. We could never get a name from him. Mr. Nasty was all we called and deemed him, because he would never, when we asked responses on EVPs or spirit boxes, he would never reveal his name. So we kept going after it and after it and after it. And it was a friend of ours, actually, the first one who came across with a name was Sarah Labrie, who picked up on Jeffrey, and then funny enough how you were able to pick up on it. I guess once the secret was out, he didn't care anymore. But in a sequence of different communications, what had transpired was there was a love triangle, if you will, of sorts, that Mr. Nasty had emotions for Alana, yet she was involved with another man, the tall, thin man, we called him, and apparently in this back bedroom where we sprayed luminol and could see the blood splatter on the side of the wall was where he had killed her with a knife. Stab, 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 kill, kill, kill is what we got on the spirit box sessions. And while he was killing her, Becca woke up from the second floor, whatever, came down and saw what was going on, and he killed her also. He ditched the knife, which we're still trying to find out under which tree it's located. Nancy Matz, our psychic medium, who did remote viewing, said it was under one of the trees outside of the building. We've not been able to locate yet. But, apparently, this whole thing was done out of passion, crime of passion, if you will. And we did a spirit box session one night there, only with professionals, and, found, again, him confessing to it. And it turned out that Alana, up to that point in time, had no idea who had killed her because she was killed in her sleep. And Becca had no idea who it was either, because either it was too dark or what it was. But when he confessed on the spirit box session that it was him, all hell broke loose. She was screaming. She was in astonishment. Her father, the spirit of her father, showed up. He was condemning him. It was just an unbelievable spirit box session that we compiled together with all the evidence from it. And again, we continue to go in there not only to still communicate with them, but find out if they've moved on in their lives, understanding that had already passed. But Mr. Nasty still prevails there. We don't get much from Alana or Rebecca. Rebecca will come in and pull on your finger or pull on your arm, but Mr. Nasty still is there, probably in purgatory, knowing if he goes to the next life, it's probably going to be hell or damnation. But a very, very volatile location.
Yeah, it was very, very, very interesting place. And John, I know you had some questions for George as well, and
yeah, I had all these spiritual questions tonight, and then I'm changing it up here. I did have a question for George. It's a little bit off topic, but not really. I know George had a radio show recently about intelligent versus residual spirits.
Yeah.
And my question was, I know George does a lot of traveling to different places. I know he talks to a lot of different people. I was curious to get his input or his opinion on, do you think the spirits, the energy is diluted by all of these different teams going to several places over and over again? Do you think the spirits feed on that, or do you think they just get, like, they feel like a sideshow, like a zoo, kind of? Like, I know you're talking down in the Florida place. I mean, that seemed to really, the energy was drawn to you. But do you think, like, if other teams just keep going there over and over and over again, like, these ghosts are aware of it, or they just say, they feel like a freak show, kind of?
Loaded question, John.
Well, I know it's kind of late in the evening here.
It has there's a lot of avenues we can go down with this. The bottom line of it is if we look at it that these are people, then each person has a different personality. Some may bath in the glory. They just absolutely may love the attention that they're getting, and that's where those responses come into play. Children, I think so, are more responsive. If they were outward children in life, I think they'll be outward children in death, and they'll still want to play and socialize, such as Lily at St. Augustine, at Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Lily is always there to respond with people, always willing to play. The children from Waverly Hills Sanatorium, always willing to play. Pennhurst Asylum, I understand, too, just as much, and that's on my bucket list. But people, respond different ways, just like, celebrities. Some celebrities cannot stand the notoriety, the paparazzi, and others absolutely adore it and love it. They love being in the limelight. So I think it's each individual's response. That's one direction. If we're even talking about what we're experiencing, is there a possibility, and we've talked about this as well, that what we're dealing with is our own manifestations, our own subconscious manifestations on what we're capturing on our evidence when it comes to, my opinion, audio. If we're going to look at it common sense-wise, I think what we get on video and what we get on photography could be residual. It could be echoes from the buildings themselves, a vibration that happens to hit at a certain point in time, maybe because of our voices, maybe because of our walking, maybe because of the elements of the conditions of the weather, but they show up for that picture or that video at that time. But going into the aspect of Spirit Box, Ovilus, and digital audio recorders is a possibility that we are manifesting that ourselves. Truly possible, without question. And that's the thing that we're still trying to research and find out. Are those occurrences that we are getting self-manifested? So is one person more imaginative? If you have a ton of investigators going in there, are they all creating their own image of a lily, so to speak? And so one of those people just has that subconscious capability, almost where they can teleproject that audio from their own subconscious, and they're not even thinking about it. The potential is certainly there. So, a place such as Curse City, we're about the only team. Our team has kind of spliced off where we have a sub-team, if you will, a former investigator who decided that he still wanted to continue, even though he was no longer with us, and he brings some of his friends out there, and they go there from time to time, once every 6 months or so. Other than that, there's no one else that goes out to the old Florida ghost town, no one. So is it the potential, if there are people still existing there, that there's someone to talk to there, that they're interested? Are people from that era, turn of the century, in a small little town in the middle of the Ocala National Forest, more shut-in and not ones who really like strangers or want to talk to strangers? That could be a factor as well. Again, like you said, John, this is one of those things that we could go on forever talking about because there are so many different variables and conditions. But that's why we do what we do. We're trying to find out the answers. And between procedure and equipment, I think we'll be able to start to, take away and chip away the edges and find a beautiful piece of art called paranormal investigating. But I don't think we're there yet.
Perfectly said.
I'll add one thing, John, and this is just, this is more anecdotal. I mean, this isn't statistical in how I viewed it, but having gone to Trans-Allegheny, I've been there 11 times now. I have always thought when I've scheduled trips out there, they're open year-round, but they only do like the big public tours, where people can stop, on the weekend and do a historical tour and things like that, from late March to like Halloween or like the first week in November. And so I've scheduled some in early spring when it first opens up, thinking again, there hasn't been a whole lot of activity. It's going to be, they're going to be looking for interaction, coming in there. And I've been in there very late in the season when there's been some other activities going on during the day. And I will say I've been surprised. It's actually the opposite of what I would have thought. I've had quieter nights, and again, this could be a coincidence. I've had quieter nights early in the season when it was just opening up, and busier nights when there's been other things going on and lots of people around. Some of the busiest nights I've had there have been when there's been something going on during the day. So, activity during the day, and then, at night the team's in there. And so I don't know if it's, that personal interaction and the fact that something different's going on there gets things kind of riled up and curious, as opposed to if it's all quiet and then you just kind of come in there or not. It could be just a total coincidence, but I will say it's kind of the opposite of what I would have expected.
I wonder sometimes if to go back to the original topic you had tonight about drama, I wonder sometimes if some of the drama is fueled by so many of these different teams going into locations, and then they tell the other team, there's this little girl, you're going to see this little girl, or you go to Pennhurst on the 3rd floor, you're going to see this little girl, and then that team tells the next group of people, oh, you're definitely going to see this little girl. And I wonder if that kind of starts putting a thought in people's head, like, if they're almost kind of like diluting what they're looking for to kind of confuse their judgment a little bit.
Could be. It's interesting in that, and I think I mentioned this last week, and I'll post the clip again. But one of the things that I thought was really interesting last time I was at Tala, I was in Lily's room, and again, lots of different things. I have a audio clip of we were getting meter hits whenever somebody touched her toy box, and again, I didn't realize it at the time, but we thought it could just be a coincidence. But anytime this guy touched the toy box, the meters would go off. Well, I mentioned, I'm like, get a toy out. Well, we record when he gets a toy out. It sounds like a little girl screaming, like, hey! Like, don't touch my toy. That was the one night I was out there. And then the next night, when I was ended up meeting up with Dead Time Investigations, and it was investigating with them, the one girl, I guess, was starting to nod off in Lily's room, and she recorded a male voice saying, wake up, bitch. And so last time we were there, I'm in the room and just trying to stir something up. It was dead in Lily's room that night. And we had Copperhead on shortly after, and he said, yeah, he didn't know what was going on. Lily's not in Lily's room right now. She's hiding because of the man. Well, I didn't know that at the time, but I was in the room, and I said, there's some people here who don't think it's a girl in this room at all. And I have a male voice recorded saying yes and hello again. And I just find this very interesting on a whole bunch of different levels. One, hearing Copperhead's story afterwards that Lily was hiding because of the man, and I get this man's voice. But two, just the fact that yes and hello again, one, it implies intelligence because it was in response to my statement, and two, it implies recognition because, I've been there multiple times. I've had some other evidence that seems to indicate that they recognize me there, but the yes and hello again seems to indicate that as well. So very interesting. I think you can kind of feed in based on perception into things, but I don't think that's necessarily always the case. I don't know. What are your thoughts, George?
It's one of those tit for tat kind of discussions when it comes to, and that's the thing about it. Again, there's so much opinionated aspects of this field that we're talking about here. The same thing that when John's asking about whether or not people are setting other investigators up, pre-programming them, if you will, telling them about the locations and what is going on, what they should expect. Bill Murphy from Fact or Fake Paranormal Files did this exact experiment. I believe it was in Texas. Went to a location with some amateur investigators. And prior to doing the investigation, he manifested his own spirit that did not exist there. An elderly woman, let's just call her Mary, and he gave a full description of how she died, how she lived, her history to the location, but there was no existing person from that location. The funny part about it is that when they did evidence review, several of the investigators captured the name Mary, a description of the woman. Some people had seen her apparition while they were there. Again, is it the power of suggestion that goes into our subconscious with those expectations? And when somebody gives somebody else the idea of what's going to be going on, those expectations, are they manifested then into a reality, if you will, for those people doing the investigation? The funny part about it, though, too, on top of this, Matt and John, is after they did this, Bill was getting reports from the location that other teams coming in after were also experiencing Mary in an apparition form and in EVPs. So are we really, truly, actually not imagining this, but really manifesting these energies, and then do they reside there, whether it be residual or otherwise, because we've created it? Again, several different ways that we talk about when we talk to people like David Roundtree and Thomas Fusco to look towards particular investigation techniques and see whether or not these are plausible. We talked about the perfect example of taking 6 Petri dishes, And in each of one of those Petri dishes, you have a particular element. One, a blue sandstone, a block of blue sandstone, never put into a building, but just created, and you utilize that. The second blue sandstone is from a haunted location. And then the next two Petri dishes have a piece of wood that's just been taken from a lumberyard and a piece of wood from a haunted location. And third, some type of a metallic mineral, whether it be gold, silver, or platinum, a small piece in each of the Petri dishes, one from a jewelry store, if you will, or from a mine, and the other one from a historically haunted location such as a church. And taking the time to speak over and over again into each of these pieces, separate them in separate rooms, but speaking into them over and over and over again, particular words, particular emotions, and seeing as to whether or not that is stored in there, and of whether or not you could capture energy off of that, whether it's a disembodied voice, whether it is an EVP off of a spirit box, or even a manifestation, because your subconscious could still imprint that as well. These are the type of experiments we have to look at doing here in the future of this community to be able to see if we can move it forward and find out why things happen the way they do. Similar to what you're doing with the statistics, Matthew, but now doing a hands-on physical experimentation to see whether or not these things can actually happen.
Very, very interesting. I think that would be a very interesting experiment to do and see. Is it the medium acting kind of to transfer the energy, or because I've heard reports as well of, and we were talking about this a while ago about if you have a location that has something going on, could it be something related to the site itself, or could it be something related to the materials that it was constructed with? Like, let's say, you end up the rock used on the facade of a house, if that ended up coming from an area where there was a battle in colonial times or something, obviously not a huge battlefield that would get dug up, but maybe some little like skirmish or something where something happened. Even if it didn't happen at that location, could that material transfer somehow energy or activity into the location as well?
Well, I'll give you one better than that. Let's take the location you've been to 11 times, Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. How many times have you heard Copperhead, Greg Graham, talk about the fact that he's been in locations and heard his own co-volunteers' voices where they were not there? The energy from the most present can be stored in there just as much as the most far distant in the history of that particular location. It still stores the energy. If it's an emotional or a redundant occurrence, that particular location, because of the minerals involved with the building of that structure, could retain those, and again, in those circumstances, be able to hear even your own voice. That may explain a lot of what they talk about doppelgangers. That it's an evil spirit that is recreating the image of another individual, and looks just like. No, it could be the same individual, but it's now a residual haunt, an echo in that particular building, because your energy, your vibration, whatever it may be, was somehow in perfect harmony with the building, and it retained your energy that you could go back in there and see yourself a year later. Those potentials are certainly there.
Very interesting. John, any experiences along this line?
No. I guess,
how about I know you do a lot at Pennhurst. Has there been any reports there?
Exactly, because I just posted in the chat. That's one of the reasons why I really enjoy doing private residence, like people's houses. And another thing I like doing is places that people have never gone before to do paranormal investigations. Because I like to go into a building or like an old abandoned warehouse or a person's house with the idea of, let me see what I can find. Because I know, like at Pennhurst, and we've been told, me and you, because we've worked there before together, on the third floor, you're going to see this little girl put your hand out, she'll touch you. And then I'll go there one night and I'll be told, yeah, she's up there. And you kind of start wondering, is she really here? Am I going to see her? And your mind starts playing tricks on you. That's the way I feel.
No, very, very, very true. And I don't know. I wonder about, your mind plays tricks on you, and then I don't know if, you know that feeling if you're in an area that has, that seems to be active, where that heavy feeling. You know what I'm talking about, John?
Mm-hmm.
I know George has mentioned it before as well. I wonder if if there's that level of that you can pick up things along that line. Is there subtle manipulations that can work that way as well, that can get you? If you start feeling heavy in a location, can they? I don't know how to phrase this. That's why when I say I don't watch horror movies anymore, because I don't need my imagination. I have a wild enough imagination. I don't need to be cooking up images of the Ring Girl if I'm sitting in some dark hallway in an asylum kind of deal. I don't know if they can subtly kind of prick that or not. I don't know exactly how to describe it.
Let me ask you a question, Matt.
Sure.
When you were at Pennhurst, and the night we were there, and we had a guide, and he told us that if you sit down and you look down the hallway in complete darkness, you can see shadows walking by. Now, to me, did we see shadows walking by, or did we get that thought in our head? Maybe that's what we're looking. We wanted to see shadows walk by.
Yeah, and I admit I enjoy the shadow play piece, but unless it's a real clear one, I don't know how much is kind of your eyes playing tricks on you if you're looking down at a dark location. How much if you're going to just start trying to make some type of pattern out of it. That being said, I have had, and it was very freaky. Actually, our guest next week, Antietam Paranormal, I was with them at Trans-Allegheny, and as it happens, it was at the very end of the night, so we were almost running out of time, and we were hearing absolutely insane. We thought it was somebody else that got into the building going down the hallway. I mean, you heard a whole bunch of people, a whole bunch of noise. And so we moved out into the hallway in the violent male ward, and we saw an incredible amount of shadow play. But one of the weirdest things was, I saw, if you could just imagine a dark silhouette of a person step out of a room and start walking directly towards me and then disappeared maybe about 5 feet away from me. And I mean, there was no question about, am I seeing shadows moving down the hall or anything? I saw a definite silhouette come out of a room and move down towards me and then vanish. And so very, very freaky along those lines. But, along that, when he mentioned that about that hall at Pennhurst, what was very interesting is we heard a whole lot of noise as well.
Yeah, you could
it sounded like there were... Yeah, you could hear people walking around in that building, and we were all over that place. There was nobody else in that building. And, I mean, it's a large building, but it's not something like Tala where it would be very easy to hide. I mean, it's a fairly straightforward layout, and I would, in my opinion, very difficult to, play cat and mouse, somebody trying to hide in there making noises for, to scare somebody else. And I'm just kind of, I know that doesn't go on there, but for anyone who might think that is the, what's going on. So, George, your thoughts on that in the shadows?
I to this day, and this is one of my at least that I'm aware of, I've never come across a full body apparition or a shadow of that magnitude, such as walked up on you up to 5 feet away. I dream about I dream about having that opportunity to piss my pants. Just to sit there and go, you've got to be freaking kidding me. What is the elements in the creation of that? Why is that happening? Is it a residual? Is it an echo of the building itself? Because, you hear all these footsteps and stuff, the energies that have been absorbed by that building at Pennhurst is probably going to be substantial because of the years of corruptness and the way that the people were treated there, the pain and the anguish. I mean, so many different energies. It's got to reside there. Whether or not it's in response and interactive with the investigators that go there remains to be seen. It depends on the evidence that they provide. But all the different places I've been to this point in time that I could recall sitting there going, is that somebody there? And they vanished in front of my eyes. It's not happened yet. It is certainly something that I strive for. We've captured amazing evidence, which is the key thing. What we want to do with our cameras full-body apparitions from Trans-Allegheny, physical manipulations at Curse City, things of that nature that we'd love to be able to sit there and share with everybody. But those personal experiences, I've been touched, grabbed, all those different things, but to actually see with my own eyes, and again, does it come down to the capability of the investigator? Are some just more open to be able to see these things, or is it anybody at just any given particular time that you're able to have that connection, to make that connection, and to have that experience? I still endeavor to have that, and it's just not happened to me yet. Maybe I'm not ready for it, but we'll have to wait and see.
Well, I don't know. This is kind of an interesting thing. It makes you wonder about, kind of the energy and the experiences. That shadow experience and the two very strong full-body apparitions that I've seen all happened on the same weekend or over the course of 2 investigations at Trans-Allegheny. So being there 11 times, kind of saw what I would consider an apparition, 3 times there, and it happened to be 2 in the same night and 1 the very next night there. So, I mean, it's kind of odd when you think about the overall amount of time in an area to have those experiences be that concentrated. It kind of makes you wonder what was unique about that time that, made that more common than would normally be seen. Because, again, that's, about almost 90 hours in the building, and that happened in about a 12 hours, so, roughly 10% of all the time in there, those 3 events occurred.
I want to see a hot, naked chick apparition. Some hot chick had to have died in her sleep naked. I mean, I don't think they sleep always in their Victorian outfits and stuff, but they're always in the lady in white, the bride or whatever, or the Victorian-style outfit. No hot, naked chick apparitions. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, you've seen all those. You've had to have seen all those horror movies too, though, George. You know that never ends well.
No, yeah, the 13 Ghosts.
And they look considerably worse once you close your eyes.
You're talking about The Shining. Okay, yeah. No, I'll take my chances just to be able to see. If I'm going to see my first full body apparition, let it be a hot naked chick, and then if she turns into some crazy old laughing lady, I'll run afterwards. That'll be fun. Then I'll piss my pants.
All right. Excuse me. Again, I want to thank everyone for being on tonight. We're going to wrap things up here. George, thank you so much for calling in and being a kind of a last-minute guest here, but you were absolutely awesome to talk to, and it's great to be able to ask you some questions about investigating and your experiences, particularly what we did investigating together last couple months ago.
Yeah, I hope Nini's okay. She's usually on par to show up and talk with everybody, so I'll be checking up, sure as you will, to make sure that everything's okay, that she didn't make it tonight, and I'm sure you get a chance to have her on again, because she's a phenomenal lady, and she's hot, too. Maybe we could have a hot naked counter.
Yeah, it's, life happens, and this isn't the first time that things have happened, and, we've had guests come down. As John mentioned earlier, there's a lot of stuff going around, so we've had people get sick, and we've had all different kind of things happen on here, so we just figure out a way, and the show goes on, and so I hope she's doing well, and George, again, I really appreciate you calling in tonight and giving us some very, very interesting conversation.
My pleasure. Go Ravens.
Yeah, for anyone who didn't see it, it's going to be the Harbaugh Bowl, so very interesting. I'm on the Ravens side of that as well. So, John, thank you so much.
Oh, no problem. Like I said, definitely do me a favor and pencil me in a co-host when we do get the spirit. I can't even talk right. And when we get Nina. I always get her name wrong. Because I know I used to check out her show on Tuesday nights, and I know I actually called into her show. She probably wouldn't remember me, and I talked about twin flames and post-life regression, and I really was going to ask her some questions about that tonight to kind of get a feel for it. So, yeah, definitely. But thanks for having me. It was nice talking to George. I never had the opportunity to talk to George. I listened to George and stalk his show, too, but I never talked to him.
You're always welcome on any time. Of course, you know that.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. Next week, again, we have Antietam Paranormal. I'm sure we'll be talking some Tala investigations with them as well. And they've done some interesting things. Ken Szymanski, who's another one of our co-hosts, has investigated with them at the Antietam battlefield and has also been with them at Gettysburg. So we'll have some very interesting discussions there. And Ken actually does reenactments, so should be an interesting discussion. We will see you all next week. Thanks again for joining us. Take care, everyone. Good night.